Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center. And if you're like me, a lot of your life lessons have come from mom. They've come from an individual who maybe hasn't had a college degree, maybe hasn't been to chiropractic college, but in different ways have learned so many remarkable truths that have been passed on. And for me, I have to say, mom has helped me better understand the immune system, how it works, how it functions, and how to optimize the function of that immune system. So today, my hope for you is that you learn a little bit of what my mom taught me in not only strengthening the immune system, but maintaining it so that it is properly functioning throughout our lifetime. Now, I got to tell you, as a kid, I'm one of 7. As a kid, my mom knew one thing. She didn't want us home from school because by having one home, she was going to have multiple homes. That was her time. And in turn, she wanted to make sure that, you know what, our bodies were functioning at that optimal level, that ability to make sure that they were not just fighting disease off, but making sure that it never got to the point where, it was running out of control. So when I think about it, one of the very first things mom had always taught us was making sure that we get plenty of sleep. Sleep is one of those things that in today's day and age, our children don't get enough of. The sad thing is that kids today in school, they're staying up way too late. They're staying up much later than they're supposed to be. In fact, oftentimes they're on electronics at that point. Well, by staying up late, they're robbing themselves of that REM sleep, that rapid eye movement sleep. And that's when our body gets that rejuvenating, healing energy being pumped back into it. So one of those very first things was to have that routine of a proper bedtime. Going to bed at a set time, making sure that that waking time was set also, so that there was a rhythm throughout the course of our day. And trust me, as a parent, I came to recognize how important it was to have that rhythm throughout the day in my child's lives also. So sleep happens to be one of those really big things. And maybe as a parent, you might have to consider, what is that proper timeline? How many hours are my children supposed to be getting as far as sleep is concerned? In fact, not only how many hours are my child supposed to be getting, but how many hours should I be getting myself? Now, the second thing is that, once we've gotten that proper amount of rest, we then need to make sure that we're feeding and fueling our body properly. Yes, diet does matter when it comes to our immune system. And in fact, if we're not consuming those really great whole foods with great minerals and vitamins, the proper nutrients, the tendency is that, our body isn't going to have the resources it needs in order to fight off disease as it's starting to attack and come our way. And let's understand something. When we talk about our immune system, it's on. It's on 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. When you don't think that it has to be working, just think about your toothbrush, things like your cell phone, the door handles. We can go into the sink and look at those wash rags that are in the sink. Let's recognize we're constantly coming in germs, in contact with viruses and bacteria of all different types. They're out there all the time. Our body is just simply keeping them in check so that we're capable of continuing to function the way they're supposed to. So we need to make sure that we're feeding and fueling the body. One of those really big things is that, hey, listen, when we start to consume more sugars, this time of the year, the sad thing is that we just come off a lot of holidays, and guess what? We're used to over-consuming sweets. We're used to coming in contact with alcohols and different sugary drinks. Because of those things, They have a natural means by which they're able to weaken or suppress our immune system. So counting those sugars, counting those type of things does matter. And we need to make sure that we're also looking towards the fluids that we're putting in. If we're not consuming enough water, guess what? Every cell in the body utilizes it. Our brain is 80% fat and water. Let's make sure that we're giving the body the proper resources it needs to function the way it's supposed to. Listen, we never had anything other than, whole milk and water to drink as kids. It just wasn't one of those things. So as an adult, again, it's just one of those things where, that natural go-to happens to be water at this point. We need to be consuming enough water. If you don't know how much enough water happens to be, take your body weight, divide it in half. Put that into ounces, and that's about where you should start as far as the amount of water that you should be consuming on a daily basis. If you're not used to tracking it, track it. Because like anything else, we oftentimes think that we're doing okay. We think that we're on track, and yet for many of us, we fail. We come short all the time. And day after day, week after week of falling short, sadly, our body then is at a huge deficit, which we have to bring ourselves out of. Sometimes utilizing drinks like electrolytes, better choice electrolytes, putting a little bit of sea salt in your water enables us to actually get better value out of that water source. Now, we've talked about our sleep. We've talked about how we feed and fuel our body. The next thing that I learned from Mom was, listen, get up, get out of the house. You need your face in the sun. That vitamin D production is absolutely essential. And for many of us, we've gotten used to walking outside with our sunglasses on. We shouldn't be doing that. We want to make sure that we're getting that proper vitamin D production, that proper exposure. So when you're stepping out into the sun, step out without your sunglasses on. And if you have choices as far as when you get outside, guess what? Do it first thing in the morning. Those early morning rays are much, much better for you. Oh yeah, and by the way, while you're out there, gotta move that body. It's called exercise. Some of us consider it that dirty E word. But when we talk about improving our immune system and how our body fights off diseases, that exercise is an amazing catalyst for our body to do things in order to keep us nice and healthy. We want to make sure that we're stimulating our body 30 minutes a day at least. I don't care whether you call it walking, whether you're out there jogging, on your bike. Routinely, you should also be incorporating weighted exercises. Put dumbbells in your hand. Make sure that you're lifting weights. There's a condition, it's called sarcopenia. Hey, listen, as we're all getting older, we see that what we consider muscle wasting. Well, that comes from, our hormones, the testosterone loss in us guys, changes in females as far as the progesterone and estrogen ratios. We realize we need to actually be moving weight to stimulate the production of muscle. We need that resistance in order to make sure that we're developing that muscle inside of our body. Now, there was one last thing that Mom always taught us, is to get adjusted. In fact, as kids, when the first one of us started to not feel well, when the first one of us started to display a little bit of those sniffles, a little bit of that, that sense of things were not going right, Mom lined us all up. Dad came walking through the door for dinner, and before Dad was able to even sit down at the dinner table, Tony, adjust them all. We all got checked. We all made sure that we were getting adjusted at that point. And like anything else, what I considered something that we just did as kids, well, research has demonstrated the fact that those routine adjustments throughout our lifetime build our immune system. There is a product that's called serum thiol. It's found as a blood marker. And guess what? It measures the intensity of our immune system, how well it works. Well, as you're getting adjusted, that serum thiol level continues to improve and go up over time. What more could we ask for than things that are so natural, so second nature, that we just simply tap into those? And here's the thing. I've learned these simple truths from my mom, who demonstrated them to us kids, and in turn, we've gotten to pass that information on to the next generation. Yeah, each and every one of those things that I mentioned has been so heavily studied and researched. It's been detailed out in different studies and in different findings. That these are truths that we all get to take advantage of. That whoever you are has the opportunity of making the choice to improve their immune system. And as parents, listen, we get to demonstrate those good and better choices to our children so that they too can make those better choices. My hope for you is that you've taken one or two things away from this conversation today. Things that my mom taught me, that I've been able to teach my daughters in a way to help them understand how to better protect themselves and keep their immunity nice and high. I'd love for you to leave me a comment in the section below. Leave me a comment. What was your takeaway? What's that thing that maybe you struggle with that you need help with? Maybe you have a question that you want to leave me. Leave it in the comment section below. Otherwise, make sure you like this video. Others in our community get to see this information. They get to hear about these truths so that they too can learn more about how they're able to protect themselves. And then finally, share this amongst your Facebook friends. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center.